right? Yeah, so by profession, I'm a communications professional, as you heard from the bio. And communications is very broad. And those that are creating content online, writing their blogs, writing in newspapers, on TV, they are doing communications. Everybody that's been standing here has been doing what? Communications, right? Even as you're not speaking and you are silent, you think because you're keeping quiet, you're not communicating. I get it? But you actually are communicating. So that's what we call non-verbal communication. When you're just sitting there, your eyes wandering, I can tell for this one, maybe we go New York or Greece, I don't know where they are, but they're definitely not here. The body's here, but they're not here. So I'm going to share a bit about my profession, which is communications, and most people know it as PR, which is public relations. I get it? Who of you have grown to watch TV or listen to radio and wish that they could be on TV? I know I have. By a raise of hands, let's see. I want to be on TV. Why are you raising your hand like this? Yes, you must be confident again about the stuff that you want or you wish for. So when I grew up, I used to see, especially the police, when there was drama in the communities, and then you'd find a police spokesperson, and then they'll be there explaining the situation, and I'll be like, yeah, I want to do that kind of job. But back in the days, we didn't have what you guys have here, which is why you're here, like career fairs, career coaches, and the likes. So I knew I wanted to be that, but I didn't know what to study. But I also knew that I wanted to be a writer, because I used to write a lot. I still do to this day. But I didn't know that you could actually make a career out of writing. But also, I wanted to travel. So I thought, maybe I could earn money writing and traveling. Perfect combo, right? I could be seeing the world, writing about the stuff that I'm encountering in other countries, and I would just be living my best life. But the problem came because I didn't know what to study. So eventually I ended up studying hospitality management because I couldn't get into tourism. Ostaki was explaining earlier about the importance of applying on time for stuff, doing research, and as much as I didn't have the career coaches or guidance on my career, but I didn't know also where to look for information. So it was tricky. I ended up studying hospitality management because tourism was full. So then my mom was like, no, you're not getting a gap year, you must go to school. Hospitality is the next best thing, close to tourism. So I studied that, and I had to finish the course. She made me finish the course because she said, you don't start something and you don't finish it. That was like my first big lesson of adulting. You don't start something and you don't finish it. So I finished that course, I hated it. And then I studied, as I was doing my service training at some mine there in the West End, she asked me again, you said you hate this course and you hate the job you're doing. So what are you doing about it? Go back to school. At the time I was earning, I think 1.8, and I was very happy with the 1.8. I was getting free accommodation, free food, It sounded like and it felt like it was great. But with her pursuance, then she said, go back to school. Eventually I did my research properly this time, and I stumbled upon communications. And that's when I started going into communications. I studied via UNISA. And I studied via UNISA mainly because I needed to study and work. Some of us weren't that privileged where, you could just go to school full time and then your parents are paying for your fees. I studied with UNISA. I needed to work and study, so I needed to balance that. But also, studying at UNISA afforded me the opportunity to actually get experience of what I was studying at school. So in essence, that's how I ended up here, doing communications at a big company in a corporation, and I manage corporate communications, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about what that means. So to paint a picture, I want to ask, by a show of hands, kimang oratang polodam, oresheni, ham, Vienna's. Why are you raising your hands like this? Who loves polony in this room? So, rata polony, I guess. Limos patch on rata polony, resheni, one that one, I guess. So, who eats polony or other meats like that every week? Every week. You can't tell me you eat it. Yeah, be honest, thank you. You eat polony regularly, again, with bread, cabrotto, botoro, whatever, almost patrol. Do you remember what happened between 2017 and 2018? What happened? What happened? Listeriosis again. And when listeriosis was happening to everybody, who said, no, I know I said that. Right? We said we'll never eat polony ever again because it's gonna kill us. But if you're going to go into your house now and you open the fridge, polony or some meat of that kind will be in your fridge. So what do you think happened that got us to this point where we are eating polony again and we are not afraid of it? Communications, PRs, I get people who manage the reputations of a company. That's what people in communications do in these organizations. So in organizations, the public relations person, so I will use public relations, PR, and communications, as and when, but they mean the same thing. So in essence, communicators are responsible to manage the company's reputation. They are responsible to communicate to internal audiences, the internal stakeholders. Give mind the internal stakeholder in a company. Anybody? You don't know. Internal stakeholders go school and give man. Internal, so the internal stakeholders of the company are the people that work for the company. So the employees. And then external stakeholders are, everybody outside. So your communities, your investors, the media, everybody else that the company might impact in one way or another. Right? So who are the two types of stakeholders? I'm gonna ask questions. There's lots of focus here. Who are the two internal stakeholders for companies? Give me one. You don't know. So you weren't listening. Ish, that's a big ish. Give me one stakeholder. Come on, I know you know the answer. You don't know. Employees, I guess we said stakeholders are employees who are internal, and then external, we have investors, we have the communities. Who else could be an external stakeholder? Customers, yes, thank you. And who else could be an external stakeholder? The public, the general public, I get. Earlier they were talking about law, and law is, like Nkatako explained, it's very broad. So in as much as a company is operating and, promoting their business or their products, they are also responsible to the community, the public in which they're operating in. I get it? So we communicate with our stakeholders to do a number of things. To inform, to educate, to empower, but to also market the products and services that a company offers, right? And we do that through creating awareness, marketing. As you're driving everywhere, you'll see billboards. In the newspapers, you'll see adverts. You guys see the billboards, right? That's a form of communications. That's what PR people manage and are responsible for. So we do communications through various ways. What are some of those ways that you think we do communications? I need two hands. One from this side. When I'm not watching TV, what are the two ways of communicating? Give me one. Give me one. Mobile communications, right? Thank you. And what other ways do we communicate in? Yes. Through radio, right? Thank you. So there's various ways of communicating, and we have traditional media. Traditional media is television, radio, print, which is your newspapers and magazines. So anything that's in print form, like books, etc. And then we have new media. What is new media? You guys are busy with new media. Social media platforms, right? What else is new media? What else is new media? You only know social media. Are you not reading like blogs online? You do read blogs, right? And you're on some mobile apps which have information for you. So new media is online platforms, and such as podcasts, the blogs, social media platforms, all of them actually. I don't know what's happening with the sound. So in communications, we write a lot, like a lot. And to be able to write, you need to also read a lot. What do we do in communications? We write a lot. But to be able to write, what do you need to do? Huh? You have to read, okay? Okay. You have to read a lot. Because reading helps you to stay informed with what's happening, in the world, what's trending online. So you guys are mostly on social media, and you get information from TikTok, from Facebook, and the likes. So in essence, that's another form of reading. Because now what we have, where people don't like reading physical books, we actually have audiobooks. The introduction of audiobooks has changed, the writing space for authors. So now if you are going to become an author, you need to think of 3 ways to publish your book, which is the physical copy, the audiobook, but also the ebook. So now there's 3 ways to publish your book, so that you cater to each and every kind of audience that might be interested in your book. The sound is bad. But especially in the media space, you also have to do a lot of monitoring. So you monitor what is being said about the company that you work for, so that you are able to, 1, correct if they are talking about, wrong stuff that they say your company has done, then you are able to correct that. Number 2, it is also to inform the public between, what's true and what's not true and what's actually happening within the company. But if you don't monitor what they are saying about your company, then it becomes problematic, because ultimately your reputation becomes at stake. What do you do when somebody has whispered something in somebody's ear about you and it was a lie? Do you just sit back and hope that it clears itself out, or do you actually take a stand to go and correct what is being said about you? Which option are you, A or B? B. You take a stand, okay? I'm not sure what I think A about feeling, but choose B next time, please. You take a stand and you correct what is being said. That's how you manage your reputation, né? Because if you don't manage the reputation, what happens to you then? Then people are just gonna take that narrative and just go with it. I get it? So it's very important. That's what PR specialists also do. We do a lot of reputation management. But you can't manage your reputation if you are not monitoring about, what's being said, what's trending on Twitter. Is my company trending on Twitter, or am I trending on Twitter? What are people saying about me? That's when you see people issuing out statements to clarify the issue at hand. So communications is very broad, and I would encourage each and every one of you guys to research and actually go into it, because with the advent of new media, there's so many more opportunities for you to grow into the field and to develop yourselves even better as a communicator. And the restrictions that communications are thing, because now we're living in a global village because of the internet. I get it? We're living in a global village, so as you are thinking about your future, don't just think about the impact that you have more in your own neighborhood. Don't think about your career being limited to your own country. You can study here in South Africa and work abroad. You can study here until matric and go study abroad and then work from wherever. We now actually have people who are called digital nomads, which is actually what I wanted to do. Travel, write, work from anywhere in the world. There's people who don't have particular offices they need to go into. So they can literally be in any part of the country at any point in time, but still working and still earning an income. So communications can also allow you to do that. Because when you're writing, what do you need? What do you need to write? You need your laptop, your phone, or your tablet, I get it? And anywhere where there's internet connection, what connect that, you work, like it. When you've got deadlines, you submit from wherever. That's it. So communications is very broad, and inaugural digital communications, which is where social media is under. You can be an author, you can be a journalist, you can work in the office. Like myself, I work in the office as a corporate communicator. And corporate just means, corporate, like the big businesses. You're communicating on behalf of the corporate. And you can be a writer and write books, you can blog, you can actually make money, lots of money from blogging. Even now, from this young age, you can actually start blogging, getting your written works out there, and that's literally how you start establishing your career in communications as a writer. You can be an influencer. I think there's the notion that people who are content creators and are doing influencer work are just, they're just cruising about life. But it isn't so. Content creation and influencer work is a lot of work. It takes a lot out of you. It requires equipment, it requires strategy, it requires like a whole lot from you as an individual. So it's like actual work. And we are seeing this phenomenon as it grows, that even companies are now hiring people internally to work as content creators. Because now that's become an avenue for, if you are a freelancer, that's become an avenue for income. If you are within a company, that's become an avenue for you to be creative and show your creative side. You get to work on cool concepts at work and not just, writing the daily article that will appear in a newspaper. or sending out press releases, which is purely communications to the media to say, hey, this is what we are doing and this is why we are doing it. So there's a lot of avenues to go into as a communicator, and I believe this field will continue to grow, because right now with AI, with ChatGPT and them, everybody now thinks they are a writer. Actually, yeah. Please, when you do your assignments, don't rely on ChatGPT and the likes, because you will be found out that you didn't write any of those things, and it'll be hard for you to maintain your reputation. You want to be a reputable somebody, irrespective of the field that you're in. So don't rely on AI. Use it to help you, put your ideas together, but don't solely rely on it to do the work for you. Because what it does, in as much as it's helpful, what it does, it will also stifle your brain. So instead of you being creative all the time, it's like, I'm going to rely on ChatGPT will sort me out. What happens to your creativity as an individual? And then Kausani, if another thing comes and it changes, ChatGPT has a thing. And now when you've always been producing amazing works produced by ChatGPT, but nobody knows about this, what are you going to do then when you have to now stand on your own skills and talent? Because you actually haven't matured them, I get it. With each piece of work that you produce, only a starting point, and then the middle point, and continuous growth. Because the first time you write something, it's not going to be perfect. You get red marks. To this day, we have, at work, I have a manager, she'll come back with red marks, and I'm just like, yo, did I write crap, But it's purely because the point that we're trying to put across, I did not put it in, I didn't contextualize it in a way that is great, And therefore, if you're going to rely on ChatGPT, your writing style, number one, is going to be different to how you speak. It's going to be different to how you write when you write your own things. So don't find yourself in that position where you've become so reliant on these platforms and apps which are meant to support you, but you've actually become so reliant on them that you've not been doing the actual work. Now, are there any questions at this point before I summarize my key points? Do you have any questions? Maybe I'll take one if there is. Are there any questions? You can go for it. But really doing bad at it because they don't like it, not because they can't do great at it. I get about choice. Remember what I said when I shared about my story of hospitality? I was there, we were like the cabbage guys. Or the cabbage in the parts, so this one, Ibiza, and I'm just like, no man. This has got nothing to do with me writing and traveling the world. But the greatest lesson that I learned from that experience was that, and this is what my mom taught me. Number one, I said earlier, don't start something and you don't finish it. Number two, your attitude towards something will always determine how things unfold. Ne? Number three, the hospitality degree that I did, and as much as I'm not pursuing it in, fully, I am actually using it in how I prepare lunches for my daughter for school, how I prepare food at home. So I'm very much conscious about, food, food technology, nutrition, and it's purely because I went through that gruesome 3 years, And I call them gruesome because it's not something that I wanted to go into. But also, number four, I would say you need to fully assess the situation that you're in before taking any drastic decisions. Ne? But the key thing I want to emphasize is your attitude towards whatever. Because the attitude that you have towards something is what will determine whether you become successful in it, you learn something from it, or you just feel, this is just a waste. Another thing my mom told me, she was like, I've never in my life believed that there's a course in for mahala. Each and every course, or each and everything, it's there for a reason, to teach you something. So if you can, I think maybe even consult the career counselor to further establish what are your options. Ne? What are your options? Because also failing when you are in something, when you know you need to be passing, that's another thing. Ne? So think about it in that sense. It's quite broad, and I can't give you a drop it and go, or stick it out, it'll pan out someday. I can't give you that direct answer. You will need to consult with the relevant people to support you in making the right decision. Yeah. Thank you for that. One is stay marketable. Wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, stay marketable. And you do that by being a lifelong learner. Ne? Lifelong learning. So just because of it is a matric or you're in grade 10 or whatever, it doesn't mean that be a lifelong learner. And learning is not just for higher learning institutions. You're always on TikTok, you're always on Facebook, you're always on YouTube. There's lots and lots of resources on those very platforms that you can find which can help you with your learning along the way.
Sorry, I actually want to hear something. Recalling on what you said to us that if we hear gossip, rumors about us, would we hear it or would we remain silent, right? You said the only option, okay, not the only option, but the most preferred option is B, that we should hear, right? Sometimes I feel like people's opinions are just irrelevant to us.
Very important. When I was relating that, it was in particular to the PR world. You as an individual, you are your own PR person. You do your own public relations. Ne? And remember what I said earlier when I started out, there's different types of communications. There's verbal communication and there's non-verbal communication. I get it? Right? And there's direct communication and then there's indirect communication. So how you choose to correct what has been said or what has been done, which is wrongful, is up to you. And I know that even if I'm the offender, I've said something about you, even if you don't come straight to me, but there is somewhere, even if it's within your group of friends or you put up a post on a WhatsApp status, somewhere, you will, share your own view and your own perspective. That is you managing your own PR. So it's very important to contextualize things. Ne? That's very important. So I don't know, did I answer your question? A bit. So it's very important to contextualize it. Ne? Contextualize concepts, because something might be applicable to a situation right now and sometimes it won't be applicable to a situation. So always apply your mind to, try contextualize it so that it works out in your favor. So I said number one was to stay marketable and be a lifelong learner. You need to stay curious. The minute you stop being curious about life, about concepts of life, about education, about any other topic that you might be interested in, that's actually when you stop learning, you stop growing. So be a lifelong learner, develop yourself, and learn new things. Be open to learning things that might be challenging and tricky for you, because that's where most of your growth will come from. And also, course content in the school and university, it changes. And sometimes the universities don't change the course content on time. Because even now, if you look at the communication stuff that I learned at UNISA, you will learn those things and you get to the workplace and you realize, there's a lot of misalignment here. There's a lot of misalignment here. It's purely because the content hasn't been updated to the current trends and what's required. Number 2, I want to see by a show of hands, who in this room has a relative or somebody they just don't get along with? Don't come here and be like, we're not all perfect. We all have that one person in our lives, I get it. And unfortunately, in some occasions, we have to bear and grin because these people, maybe they're family or they're classmates, but there's just that one person. So, amongst other things, this person is the one who will maybe put you down, bully you in some instances, and they will make you question your worth, your value, and the things that you actually know that you have to offer. I get? That's why most of us, we shy away from speaking, asking questions, because what if I don't say? What if I ask and they say my question was so stupid? So these people actually make us question our sense of belonging. And this can be applicable anyway. So in our self-development journey, we need to realize that there is also this cousin, imposter syndrome. And I think Ostaki spoke about it a bit. Imposter syndrome. If you haven't heard about cousin imposter syndrome, please go look him or her up, because all of us have this cousin. All of us have this cousin. Lesedi Foundation invites me, I'm like, hey, what do I have to share with people? I'm not worthy of standing in front of anybody and sharing anything. That's imposter syndrome. So be aware of imposter syndrome, because if you continuously do things that align with what imposter syndrome is about and what characterizes it, you won't succeed. You will not grow. It will stifle you, it will paralyze you, it will put you in a corner, literally. And you will end up amounting to things that you didn't even think you would for yourself. So I want you to remember to just always believe in yourself. That voice will come. Come do this, or you want to submit something. The voice will come to say, hey, Wena, you've written such crap here. Who do you think is going to pay attention to what you have to say? Believe in yourself and believe in what you have to offer. Remember that you are worthy. You are worthy. You are capable. All of you are capable. And you have bucket loads of value to offer. Irrespective of background, irrespective of where you are currently, you have value to offer. And the last point is that you belong. Right here in this room, you belong to be here. Wherever it is in your social circles that you're finding yourself in, you belong. Where you don't belong, you will feel it in your gut. And those are spaces that you need to remove yourself from. Where you don't belong, you will feel it from within. And you need to remove yourself from those spaces. And the last point that I have here is, it's never too early or too late to start something. To your point, it's never too early or too late to start at something. And even if you started out in your career as something else, it's okay to say, now I want to change and transition into something else. That's perfectly okay. As long as you